Hello, and thank you for joining Manhood Race Culture Interactive. This will be somewhat of a short, a monologue, so to speak, about an issue that is facing Black America, Black men, and Black culture. Today's message that I wanted to talk about was actually something that came up from a group called the Moms of Liberty. It's apparently a southern chapter of some type of right-wing parents advocacy group in, I believe it's Tennessee. Um, Let me tell you why they're being talked about and discussed right now in this space, and it is quite simply that they have actually gotten together and have the unmitigated gall to begin to discuss what type of curriculum offerings should be offered to their children. Keep in mind, these are elementary school age children. And at the same time of saying that these are elementary school age children, their parents have decided that there's certain things they don't want their children to learn about. And of course, this is definitely dovetailing off of the idea of critical race theory, the present boogeyman when we're talking about education and what have you. Now, consider for a moment that the two books that they have specifically named, the first one is, and keep in mind, these are K through 5 children. The first one is Martin Luther King Jr. and the March on Washington. Yes, a book about Dr. King and the interracial March on Washington, the 63 march where he gave that quote unquote vaunted I Have a Dream speech. And the other book is Ruby Bridges Goes to School, My True Story by Ruby Bridges herself. And of course, that is about the integration of a school and how white parents pulled their children out of that school and actually rioted. And I want to say it was New Orleans, Louisiana, where all of that occurred. These parents don't want their children to know anything about it. And in fact, they have taken their show and their exaggeration so far. And I'll read you the quote of what these types of books have allegedly led their children to being able to do, having to do. And it is quite simply that some of the children are seeing counselors to overcome the emotional trauma inflicted upon them by what they learned in Tennessee public education. The targeting of elementary age children with daily lessons on fighting past injustices as if they were occurring in present day violates Tennessee law and will sow the seeds of racial strife. Now, only in America, to utilize Don King's great quote, could we see some foolishness like this. That here you have a complete whitewashing of American history to the point where even the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and the interracial March on Washington has become a taboo subject. When will the madness end? And a larger question is quite simply, what is Black America's response to this? Will we continue to be scatterbrained and sitting on the sidelines, or will we organize in a very strategic way to fight back against this? Because as the old saying goes, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Let's be very clear about this, that if white folk are able to talk about what their kids should and should not be learning, shouldn't Black parents be allowed to do the exact same thing? There should not be a Black student who leaves out of high school who's not read the autobiography of Malcolm X, who does not know that Ralph Ellison's Invisible Man is not the same invisible man that is clear and see-through. They should all know who Assata Oglubala Shakur is. But these things will only occur if Black America organizes in a strategic way to fight back against what amounts to, as Lonnie Guinier put it, the tyranny of the majority. Thank you for that, for listening to this.